Who's actually going to get the most mileage out of a heavy-duty pallet truck? Who can safely walk away? And whether the price tag makes sense for a shop that just moves a few cases a week? Those are the three questions I keep hearing when anyone mentions adding a floor jack or a hand pallet mover to their workflow. If you're sitting on the fence right now, the link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's break down why the Wesco Industrial 272149 Economizer pallet truck might be the right tool for you, or why you might be better off looking elsewhere. First, a little context about the job this kind of equipment does. A pallet truck is the workhorse that lets you lift a pallet a few inches off the ground and slide it across a concrete floor with minimal effort. In a warehouse, a small repair shop, a catering kitchen, or even a DIY garage, the ability to move a full-size pallet without a forklift can shave minutes off each load and reduce the risk of back strain. The trick is finding a unit that can handle the weight you regularly deal with, won't chew up your floor, and survives the inevitable bumps and drops that come with a busy environment. The Wesco Economizer is built around a steel frame, which immediately gives it a resistance to wear and corrosion that you'll appreciate in a damp basement or a shop with oily floors. Its wheels are polyurethane, not the hard plastic you see on the cheapest models. Polyurethane stays quiet on smooth surfaces, grips a little better on concrete, and most importantly for me, it absorbs impact when you accidentally run into a curb or a pallet that's a few inches higher than the rest of the load. The spec sheet says a 4,400-pound load capacity, with a lift range from 2.9 to 7.5 inches. In plain English, that means you can raise a standard 48 by 40-inch pallet loaded with boxes of hardware, drywall, or canned goods without worrying about the truck buckling under the weight. Now, who should actually consider buying this thing? If you run a small to medium operation that regularly handles pallets in the 2,000 to 3,500-pound range, this truck is a solid fit. Think of a hardware store that receives bulk deliveries of pipe, a catering business that moves crates of bottled drinks, or an automotive shop that needs to shift engine blocks and large parts from the receiving dock to the work bays. The 63-inch length and 27-inch width give it a stable footprint, so you can tilt the forks and keep the load centered even on a slightly uneven floor. The 48-inch height, when the forks are fully lowered, keeps the base low enough to maneuver under low shelves or under a rack of shelving units, which is a subtle advantage you won't see on a taller profile model. On the flip side, if you're a homeowner who only needs to move a few pallets of firewood once a year, you'll probably be better off with a lighter, cheaper hand pallet jack. The Wesco's steel construction adds weight. This unit isn't something you'll want to carry up a flight of stairs. It's designed to sit on the floor and be rolled, not lifted and stored in a closet. Also, if you work in a setting where you need a lift height beyond 7.5 inches, say, loading pallets onto a high dock or a mezzanine, this model will hit its limit fast, and you'll need a different piece of equipment, like a powered pallet stacker. Let's talk about the practical strengths that matter after the purchase. The first thing you notice when you pull this truck out of the box is how solid the fork arms feel. The steel isn't just a marketing buzzword, it actually distributes the load across a broader surface area, reducing the chance of the forks bending when you're pulling a pallet that's slightly overloaded. In a real-world scenario, I've seen a co-worker load a pallet of 2,200 pounds of steel pipe, and the truck held steady even as the pipe shifted a bit during transport. The polyurethane wheels made that move feel almost like gliding across the floor, and there was no squeaking or grinding that would normally be a warning sign of wheel wear. Another everyday advantage is the simple hydraulic lift mechanism. There's a foot pump lever that you press to raise the forks, and a release valve that drops them back down. The lever is positioned just where your foot naturally rests when you're pushing the truck, so you can keep one hand on the load and the other on the handle without having to stop and readjust. In a busy loading dock, that small ergonomics win translates into a few seconds saved per pallet, which adds up over a shift. Now for the practical weaknesses, because no piece of equipment is perfect. The biggest trade-off I've observed is the wheel size. The polyurethane wheels are about 4 inches in diameter, which works great on smooth concrete, but can get stuck on thicker carpet or uneven gravel. If your facility has a mix of